People crave transparency from businesses. This is why social media is a huge factor in reaching your audience today. We want to see the people behind the business. We want to see who we will be working with and get to know you before reaching out.
Putting the you in your brand
Right.
is the thing that can set you apart from
Mhm.
other businesses.
Whether you are a solo small business owner or are a small to medium sized business with a team, you need to show up, but this doesn't look the same for everyone. My guest and I are going to explain how you can show your personality to win more business online. But as a business, what does showing your personality actually mean? Well, let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Lindsay Berta, founder of Berta Marketing, a marketing agency designed specifically for small business owners where I handle all of your marketing so you can focus on what you love. My guest and I today are going to chat all about personalities, and this lady has such a great one. Her name is Jenna Lee Miller. She is an actor, singer, dancer, and social media manager who understands the power of personality and showing up for an audience. So we are going to give you a little insight into how your business can use personality to shine through the competition and leave you with some actionable tips to apply within your own business. So hey Jenna, how are you?
Hello, it's so good to see you. Happy 2022.
Yes, Happy New Year to you. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yes,
And
long time overdue.
I know it's been a while. It's been a while. Now,
It
you and I met
has.
on Instagram,
Sure did.
which such a great community over there. So I've met so many awesome people, yourself included. And we did a couple lives together. So this is like an extended live
It's like a
chat that we
fancy
have.
live. That's what I feel
It
like
is.
podcasts are. Fancy
Fancy
lives.
lives, they are. I love that. So, but I do want to give you a little shout out in here because you just completed a stint in Elf the Musical, and it was your first performance for a while because of the pandemic. So, I guess just how did that feel to be back in front of an audience again?
Oh my goodness, it felt amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it has been so long, and I have
Yeah.
been so nervous to get back to work because, as we know, the pandemic is still happening. Um,
Right.
and we had really strict restrictions, and we were tested 3 times a week, but that meant that we could actually finish our run and
Yeah.
miss no performances. And it felt amazing to actually get to do what I do, you know?
Yeah, that's I
So,
can't
yeah.
imagine because a little known fact about me too is I used to do a little performance, some music, a little bit of theater. So I know
Woo!
that yes, I know that feeling of like being in front of an audience and performing for an audience and then also the reaction and the energy you get back from the audience.
Yeah.
It's not something you cannot replicate it any other way. It has to
No.
be live.
I mean, as much as I love, belting it out in my living room or in the shower, it is just not the same. It
It's
is
not.
not the same.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy for you. I really am. That's so
Thank
exciting.
you.
So this brings us to really what we're going to talk about today, really performing for your audience and all of that, because I'm sure you understand with marketing yourself as an actor, but also for entrepreneurs or small businesses, it is a performance when you're creating content, whatever you're doing, it really is a performance for your audience. We need to show up, we need to be on, we need to entertain, we need to make our audience feel like they can have a great time or experience with us while getting to know our business. So I want to chat about showing up for your audience, what that means, what that actually looks like, because I feel when people hear like showing up for your audience or sharing your personality that they automatically think they have to be on camera like every single day. And it's really not what it means. And for someone that's just not for some, sorry, it's just not feasible, right? Because you're running a business, you got a lot to do.
Right.
So for small businesses with maybe even a larger team, showing up, showing your personality for your audience, it's a totally different meaning than if you're a solo small business owner or a personal brand like yourself. So
Yep.
I guess I want to talk about, what does showing your personality and your brand personality actually mean?
I have so many thoughts, Lindsay,
Yes,
so many
I
thoughts,
do too.
because I think putting the you in your brand, speaking, specifically for smaller businesses and
Yeah,
personal brands,
right.
is the thing that can set you apart from
Mhm.
other businesses.
Yeah.
Because if I don't know who you are, you're more likely not to purchase from someone. You want to
Yeah.
purchase from someone you know, you like, and you trust. And
Exactly.
the easiest way for someone to get to know you is to show your face and to talk to someone as though they're in a room, like
Yes.
you're on the phone with your best friend, or some way like that, going live,
Mhm.
doing reels, all those good things that you can
Yeah,
do.
exactly. Because people feel too like it's, we want transparency.
Yeah.
Like we want to see through I think for years, marketing and all of this was really this like high end video production and, everything had to be perfect and look really professional. And we got to a point where it was like that now feels really fake and we
Mhm.
can't almost trust it now in a way. Now, there is a time and a place for that,
Right.
but we almost feel like it's not transparent. Like anyone can say what they want about their business and sell it, right?
Yep.
So we really want that transparency. And especially I feel for service-based businesses. And like you said,
Yes.
obviously the solo, entrepreneurs and personal brands, but especially a service-based business because you're going to actually be working with that person.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So
It's that one-on-one. And they
yeah,
want to know who they're going to work with.
yeah,
Otherwise, how are they going to purchase? They're not going to purchase. That's the
exactly.
thing. They're
I
not
know.
going to purchase.
Yeah. And I always say it's kind of like a try it before you buy it kind of thing. It's really what it is,
Ooh, I love
right? You
that.
kind of get
That's
a
so
taste
true.
of, yeah, you kind of get
That's
a
so
taste of what you're
true.
in for in a
Oh, that
way.
is so true because you
Yeah.
want to purchase from someone who is very knowledgeable in the
Hmm.
subject in which you're wanting help with,
Yeah.
or something like that. It's so interesting. So I offer a Reels research package to
Yeah.
clients where basically I research your brand and I find trends that would work for quote unquote selling your business or your services, and then I edit them for you. And
Nice.
I have to say, my last three clients were said, I loved your reels and what you were doing to promote your personal brand. I want that for my business. And
Right.
that's exactly what you want to convey on your
Hmm.
own business page. That it's like,
Yeah.
I'm knowledgeable and can showcase my personality in a branded way that's authentic. That's not,
Exactly.
yeah, that's not
Yeah.
like filtered, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Because, like you said, you want to show that knowledge, position yourself as an expert. Because if I'm going to pay
Exactly.
you, or if I'm going to drop a big chunk of change to help you, to have you help me with whatever service, it's not like buying a product or something where it's like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. I'll just return it. It's
Yep.
it's it's very different. So we kind of really want to make sure and do a lot of research before we purchase. I mean, I know I do. I know I'm not alone. I mean, I
Oh,
do a lot of
heck yeah.
research on
Heck yeah.
everything. I mean,
Hell
everything.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's all about investing. If I'm going to
mhm,
invest in something, I'm going to make sure that it's worth the investment.
yeah. So when we talk about like sharing, so we talk about, yes, you have to show up, you have to show your face, all of that. But so that's more for like, personal brands, solo, all of that. But now if we're going to get into even small to medium sized businesses who maybe it's not just them, maybe they have a couple people, maybe they have a small team or maybe even a larger team, is what does this mean for them, right? Because there's not just one person to show up on camera.
Right.
So it really then goes back to your brand and understanding your brand. Now, this applies for
Yep.
everyone, whether you're solo or not. But really understanding your brand and your brand messaging and your brand voice, your brand's personality. And I know I definitely want to share a little bit about some brands that I know are really sharing their personality
Oh, yes.
online. Yeah. So, but yeah, it doesn't have to be about, if, like I said, if you're a larger team, showing your face.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure that what is your brand? Is your brand calming? Is your brand serious? Is your brand sassy? Is it
Right.
fun? What is it? Make sure that that translates through anything, whether it's even just the copy that you're writing,
Right.
making sure that that personality comes through. And then, of course, even on top of that, I still think it's a great idea to show faces. So, whether you pick a few people from your team who are more front and center or work with people or work with the public more, hopefully those people are comfortable in front of a camera. If not, I would encourage them to get comfortable if they can, because it really can make you stand out. Like it can
You
really make
can.
you stand out. And, and I also want to hear what you have to say about this because
Yeah. So, okay. So I think the first thing is yes, it doesn't always have to be your face. When people are like, show your personality, show your brand, it can be showcased through your brand colors, your fonts, your logo, your copy, as you said.
yeah.
Anything like that can show your personality. And
Mm-hmm.
also, I think this is where trends really come in handy. That
Yes.
it's like you can pop on and do a trend that's, you know, trending on Twitter, or do like a tweet that's trending on Twitter, or you can do a reel that's trending on TikTok and
Yeah.
not necessarily even show your face, but you're still doing that trend. You
Yeah.
know, I
Oh,
think
yeah. I agree with that.
you talked about going into examples. So my favorite example of like
Yeah.
showing the brand without necessarily having a face to the brand
Mm-hmm.
is Chipotle.
Oh, really?
Chipotle does
Yeah.
an amazing job of knowing, like when you go onto their Instagram, like it is so good. Their personality shines through, but there's not one face like to
Right. Because
Chipotle,
really, how could there be, right? It's
Exactly.
a massive chain. So
But it's like you can see trends, you can see like the type of personality from their copy and their content. It is just
yeah.
chef's kiss.
Exactly. And I always say too, like you even said about even the colors, the font, all of that.
Yeah.
That's huge because certain colors are going to be seen as fun and energizing or
Yep.
calming or serious. There's so many different things. And the font itself can say a lot more about your brand than the words that are written in it.
Oh, heck yeah.
Totally. I remember going somewhere once and it was something for a writer's award and I
Mhm.
can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a writer's award or something. And I remember all of the marketing materials that they had for this. I know what they were going for, but it didn't hit quite right. So I know they were going for like handwritten font, right? They wanted something
Okay.
handwritten because it's
Yeah.
for writing, right? But the handwritten font that they chose looked like someone was desperately trying to like write a message on like a concrete wall to like be saved. Like, like it's, do you know what I mean? It had that like almost like Halloween kind of feel,
Yes.
like thriller kind of feel. And that's not what the brand was. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh wow, that feels
Oopsie.
really like anxious. It was like very anxious feeling. And I was like, oh, I don't think that's what they were going for, but I get it. But so it really does like the mood,
Yep.
everything can change based on those little nuances.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think I always tell my clients that, when I come to your Instagram page, like within the first 5 seconds, I want your brand to like slap me across the face. I want to
Yeah.
feel a certain way. I want to tell like what kind of energy you give off. And you can
Mm-hmm.
do that specifically through colors and pictures and your bio and your
Yeah.
copy without even trying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even something as simple as fashion. Now, let's not even talk about showing the clothing. Something as simple as fashion without even showing the clothing or the designer or whoever is behind it. If you go on there, you can tell immediately if it's fun, if it's sporty, if
Yes.
it's elegant. You can tell right away without ever seeing
Yep.
the clothes, just by the font they
That's true.
choose, the colors they choose, all of that. So, I mean, that applies to any and all, no matter what you do, no matter what your
Yep.
business is. So yeah, there's all those things. But yeah, it all goes back to branding,
Yes.
personality, brand voice, everything really goes back to branding. Now I want to go back to what we said about showing your faces and showing up frequently and
Oh yeah.
and all of that, because there is something called frequency bias. And
Oh,
so,
yeah.
yes. So frequency bias is literally just the more you see something, the more you are likely to be attracted to it or like it or whatever. So, I mean, heck, this applies to people, to songs. It
True.
applies to everything, right? You might not like something
Yep.
at first, or you might not even notice something at first. But the more you're around it and the more you're exposed to it, you're like, oh, like I really like that. And I always do like to use the example of a song, and I know I've said about this before, is that you could hear a song that everyone's like raving about, and you're like, I just don't get it. Like it's not for
Yep.
me, whatever. And then you hear it again and you hear it again. Maybe you hear it on the radio, you're in the grocery store, you hear it again, you just keep hearing it and you're like, oh, okay. And then you hear it again, it's kind of growing on you. And then eventually you're singing along and tapping your foot. Like you
Oh,
love the
yeah, of
song, right?
course.
And
Yep.
there's no other reason for that except for you've become exposed to it. You're now comfortable with it. You're familiar with it. You,
Yep.
and especially with people and businesses, once you get to that point, you become more trusting. So there's just, it's a lot. So showing your
Yep.
face.
I will say, like, I'll admit it. I'll admit it. That was me with Billie Eilish. I was not a Billie
Yeah,
Eilish fan when she first started
I can
appearing,
agree with
and
this.
then
Yeah.
and then she started being played on the radio, and then there was a documentary about her, and now I'm like, yes, play it, turn it up, let me sing it, and I love her now. And
Yes.
it's just like a complete 180 just because of the amount of exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, after I watched that documentary about her, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I love her. I love her
You get
because
to
I'm actually
know.
knowing her and
Yes.
not just her artistry, you know?
Right. Yeah, you know her, perhaps the reasons why she's making that
Yep,
type of particular art. There's just, it
exactly.
fills in so many blanks for you. And yeah, you get to know the person. And if you like the person, you're automatically going to be biased towards whatever they're doing.
Yep.
So, and I can agree with this example because I was the same way. I was like, okay, heard about her, heard a couple songs. I was like,
Hmm.
but then, yes, started hearing more and more of her stuff. And it even got to the point where I would hear a song and be like, oh, wow, I really like this song. I wonder who sings it. Oh, it's Billie Eilish. Yeah.
Yep. Go
So,
figure.
yep, exactly. So
And I
it's
think,
true.
whoopsie, we're talking over each other.
It is bound to happen with us.
You can tell when we're passionate.
Right. I know. I know. Go ahead. I'll let
Um,
you go.
This is why I always tell clients that you always need to have a highlight bubble that explains
Mm,
your
yeah.
why behind your business, your why behind, I have acting clients as well, your
Yeah.
why behind why you're a performer, why you're an artist.
Yeah.
Because if I find a new profile page on Instagram, I'm going to stalk them. And I mean that in a very nice, polite way that
We all do
I'm
it.
exactly. I'm going to binge your highlights. I'm going to read your posts from a year ago. Like I'm going to stalk you. And I'll
Mhm.
tell you what, the fastest way for me to want to follow someone and learn more about them is if I know their why
Yeah.
behind what they're doing.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know?
exactly. Oh, yeah. Because when someone's
That's
passionate about
powerful.
something, like that's contagious. For me, it
Exactly.
is.
It is. It's like, even if it's something that I'm not really a huge fan of, but if your passion is just like oozing out of your body, I'm going to be attracted to it regardless of the topic.
Exactly. It's kind of like when someone is telling you a joke and they're laughing so hard at the joke. Like they're laughing so hard and you're like, that joke's not even funny, but you're laughing because of them. It's kind of like, it's kind of like that. Like they
Exactly.
become funnier than the joke
Yep.
in a good way.
Exactly.
In a good way.
Yep.
But yeah, it's so true. And I'll tell you this too, is like you said about, seeing someone's why. I sometimes even have the opposite effect of where I will like someone, like on Instagram or whatever. I like maybe they show up a lot on camera. I really like their personality. But then I'm like, you know what? I've been following them. I really like them. They're entertaining, but I couldn't tell you what they do.
Yep. Yep.
Right. So that's not good either. Right. So it's kind of
Yep.
like you have to have that balance
Yeah.
because you have some people that are showing a lot of personality and like they're attracting followers and they're attracting attention. But then are they selling? because
Yeah.
do people know what they do? So you have to have that balance of personality and then also making sure you're putting your why
Promoting.
out there. Yeah. Promote
Exactly.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the balance that comes with
Mhm.
social media. It's like finding what part is it me and my business? What part is it selling? What part is it giving examples of my products or services? Like, what is that balance? And to be
Yeah.
honest, like, if only we knew the special formula, like
Right.
I
Right.
wish, I wish it was just as easy as like 2 plus 2, equals
Yeah.
equals the special sauce that would be how you go viral or how to
Hmm.
make people
Yes.
attracted. But you learn that through trial
An
and error.
error. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like you have to learn what is right for your audience because
Exactly.
Lindsay's audience is different than Jenna's audience. We
Hmm.
may have overlapping. That's
Yeah.
first how we grew
Yeah.
attracted to
Yeah.
each
Yeah.
other. That was like we had that theater in common. And then it
Yeah.
was like, oh, in social media and oh, marketing and
Yeah.
there is overlap, but
Right. But it's different.
it's different.
It is
Exactly.
different. Yeah. And it's funny because I'll edit this out because I totally lost my train of thought. I was like, oh, I have something I want to say. And then I got into what you were saying and I was like, oh crap, now I forgot it.
Love it.
Oh gosh. But anyway, I'm sure it'll come back to me. So I'll like randomly, we'll be later on in the podcast and it'll be nothing related to that. And I'll be like, oh, by the way.
Oh, by the way.
Yes. But anyway, that
Oh.
happens to me sometimes. So, but the other thing that I wanted to bring up too was, a lot of people hear this and like, oh God, that sounds like a lot of work. Right? It sounds like a lot of work. I got to show up on
Mhm.
camera. I have to remember to balance this. I have to balance that. But you just got to make it easy on yourself. And the best way to do that is to just be yourself.
Yeah.
Now, again, this is going to be a little different for a team versus a
Right.
solo person, but especially for a solo person, entrepreneur, it'll be the easiest thing if you just go with your own, intuition, go with your own gut feelings and just be yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That it's like it doesn't have to be this huge kind of thing, that it can be just like day to day, day in the life, what's happening in your life, that it's like you can show the personal side of your business versus
Mhm.
a bigger brand that isn't, I do think one
Right.
way that big brands can show personal side is by using user generated content where it's
Mm.
like someone else is making content for you and then you repurpose that and kind of are
Yeah.
showing their personality. That's a way
Right.
around it. But for smaller businesses and for solo entrepreneurs, that's where it becomes easy, that it's like you don't
Yeah.
have to prep like as much as you
Yeah.
think. And
Mm-hmm.
like most things, the more you do it, the easier it
Oh,
gets.
100%. And I think that sometimes the hang up for people can be that it's knowing someone's going to hear it, knowing someone's going to see it or whatever. But if you were just
Mhm.
talking to a friend, there's probably a lot of good content you have when you're not hitting record. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
Mhm. So you just got
exactly.
to think of it like you said in the beginning, when you're just talking, just imagine when you're talking to your phone or your camera, whatever, that you're just talking to one of your friends
Yeah,
or, a colleague or, whatever it is, just
yeah.
address the
And I
simple
always
question.
say, like, start with stories because they're
Mhm.
only live for 24 hours, so you won't die if you
Yeah.
post a story and like it'll be gone in 24 hours, so you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And B, the great thing about stories is you can record them, re-record them as many times as you want. So if you mess
Yeah.
up, start again. And work
Right.
your way up to that content where like, oh, maybe now I'm gonna do a reel. And oh, maybe now that I did this reel where I'm lip syncing, now I'm gonna actually talk on my reel and like just
Exactly.
build upon that. And then it's like, oh, like what if I did an Instagram video now? And then, now I'm going to go live. Like all these things just like build up, that it's
They
just
do.
start small and build
Hmm.
upon that.
And it's like I just said, to you before we even started today on this, was even with this podcast, it was kind of one of those things that was like, okay, I want to do it. It was a little daunting. How do I do it? How do I go about doing it?
Right.
What are we going to talk about? What are we going to do? All of these things. And it's kind of one of those things of like, once you do it, you're like, what was the big deal?
Uh-huh.
It's so fun. It's way easier than you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
And, like you said, it just gets easier over time. So if you don't feel too comfortable, just keep at it. It's
Exactly.
like anything else. And, I also want to touch too, though, on the businesses with a team, right?
Hmm.
So if I know you said about like user generated content, one thing good is if you know any of your team members, your employees have any kind of personal account or personal brands themselves, take advantage of that. A lot of
Heck yeah.
bigger companies sometimes feel like um, maybe someone if on their team maybe has a personal brand. I hope they don't see that as a competition or as a threat or something like that. Take advantage of that
Yeah.
because if they're bringing in an audience, you know, you want to hop on that
Exactly.
too. Exactly. So you can share
Yeah.
personality that way. And then also with a team is making sure that everyone, like we said earlier, is familiar with your brand. So if anyone is showing up on camera or speaking on behalf of the brand, that they are speaking with that brand voice. So it is a
Hmm.
little different. So you're not showing your personal personality, you're showing the
Right.
personality of the business. So
Right.
just make sure
Yep.
everyone on the team is on the same page.
Yep.
With that.
Exactly. And the this is a really great example
Yeah.
that Bumble does an amazing job of having their team, their employees speak in their brand voice. And Bumble
Nice.
has all of those, like they have Bumble Biz and Bumble BFF and normal
Oh,
Bumble
yeah,
and
yeah,
all they have all those things. But their social media is so good because
yeah.
it has a personality to it,
Hmm.
but they also use their team as their voice, which I
Yeah.
find really, really relatable. That it's
Yeah.
just so relatable.
That's a big thing too, is being relatable,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because as an individual, it's really hard to relate to a business as an individual,
Mhm. Right.
right? But if you can relate to the people behind the business, you're like, oh, I really like them. Oh, I'm definitely going to go there because they get
Exactly.
me. Or I can
Oh,
relate to that,
wow. Yep,
right?
because what they're explaining their why, they're explaining what problems they're solving. Like, yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. That's a really good point. So you bring up like Bumble and stuff like that. And so I was thinking like what are some other businesses that I can think of that, are really showing personality?
Yes.
The ones that I thought of, I'm not going to advise anyone try to replicate this unless it really fits your brand, but I for some reason immediately was thinking of the brands that were like really sassy and snarky like with their social media, and it can work if that's your brand. So just,
Right?
tread carefully with things like this. Make sure it's on brand for you.
Yep.
Um, but I was thinking of like Wendy's Twitter account.
Yes.
They are so
So sassy.
so sassy and snarky and
But it
entertaining,
works.
but it works. And
I
here we are
tell you
talking
what,
about
I
it.
can binge and just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And then I'm like, I want a frosty. Like it's
Exactly.
so real. It's so
It
real.
is. It's so real. And like they'll, of course, with social media, sometimes you'll have like, there is way more positivity than there is negativity. But sometimes the negativity sticks out. And sometimes someone will comment something negative to Wendy's.
Yep.
And I can remember one time them saying about, that their, meat is always fresh or something like that. And someone
Yeah.
commented like, there's no way it's got to be frozen, blah, blah, blah. You can't keep meat fresh without freezing it. And Wendy's comes back real snarky and is like, okay, but where do you keep things fresh that you don't want frozen? Like maybe a refrigerator? Like real
I
snarky.
mean,
And I
that
was
is
like,
so
oh my
good.
gosh, it's so funny, and it's like they get their point across.
I get there exactly.
Yeah. And another one that I saw recently I was on TikTok and I saw Duolingo.
Wait.
Have you
I literally was going to bring this up.
Were you? Okay,
I
awesome.
literally was going to bring this up because, funny story, the
Oh,
social media manager behind Duolingo
yeah.
is an actor.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yep. She is an actor who manages their social media.
That is
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
Yes.
Go figure.
But yeah, they are so funny. And I love that they use their
So
mascot.
funny.
So here's the thing too about showing faces. Yes, they show their
Yep.
team, but the face that they're showing isn't even a person. It's a
Yep.
mascot. It's a
Exactly.
mascot. And you start to relate to this mascot. Like it's crazy. Like it becomes a person, you know?
Yep.
And they too are very sassy and snarky and
So creative. It's
very
just
creative.
so creative that it's like, it's okay to allow yourself to like show that creative side where it's like,
Mhm.
take a risk and like do the trend, see what
Yeah.
happens. Like,
Yeah,
go outside of your
exactly.
comfort zone. Like, could you imagine the first time that actor was like, actually, I want to dress up like our mascot and dance around the office? Could you imagine what her boss said to her? Like,
Right.
I mean, really, you know? But hey,
It's so
it worked.
true.
They
Because
have millions of followers now.
oh my gosh, millions. And then even the
Yeah.
comment section is gold because even the
Yeah.
comment section, like they'll comment back and oh my gosh, it's just so good. They're just so good at it.
Yep.
Right.
And how fun is it? How cool is it that you can market your business by like singing and dancing and doing TikToks and reels and like have fun? Like,
I
if that's what
know.
2022 is, okay, I'm in. Like,
Yeah, all for it. All for it. And you know, it's funny. It's crazy too because we are in such a unique kind of time with marketing because even just 10 years ago, I mean, social media wasn't even like
exactly.
a thing.
It
I mean, it
was,
was
yeah,
just being born, right?
yeah,
So it like wasn't even a thing. And it's like now we have so many outlets where we can do so much so fast, try new things, get those insights, get those analytics. We're like before it was like, okay, we're going to run a really expensive ad in this magazine, or we're going to,
yep,
run a television ad, or we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And you had to be so kind of serious and like stern with that because you're dropping a lot of money
a lot of money.
to run a very short run of an ad. And so you have to be careful. Where it's like now, yes, we want to be careful in the sense of, we want to stay true to our brand and we want to, obviously,
Put out things we're proud of course.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And we want to be really aware of that aspect of it. But we have so much more freedom now to try those new things and see what
yep,
really works and what doesn't work without ever really spending any money on it.
yeah,
Like, you can do a fun reel that took you like 15 minutes to film,
exactly.
and put it out and, see how it does.
Yeah. And
And
I
there's
think
no loss.
that's a great thing. It's like you can do it on your own for free,
Mhm.
but also if you're lost, you're like, okay, I know I need to do this. Oh, I know this is what I need to do for my business. That's where we come in, where it's like you can
Exactly.
hire one of us and we can help you go towards that goal. That it's
Yeah,
like we can be that lending hand that
exactly.
guides you along the way, you know?
And what's even great about that in terms of even cost efficiency is yes, if you're even paying us for the service, right?
Mhm.
You would either pay us or you would pay an in-house marketing team. You would still be paying someone to do that for you.
Right.
But the benefit still is you're not then paying an additional advertising fee or a, fee to be placed in that television spot or
Yep.
that, whatever magazine ad or whatever. You're paying us to do the bulk of the work. You're paying us for
Yep.
that time, but you don't have that additional cost.
Yeah.
To we can try as much as we want and there's no additional cost there in terms of placing. We don't have to pay to place the reel on
Right.
Instagram. So it's like, it's just everyone in terms of business is in a better position now for marketing just because of all the channels that we have available.
Yeah, so many options. You have
Yeah.
so many options. And that's one of the great things. It's you should be diversifying your business.
Oh
You
my gosh,
shouldn't
yeah.
just be on one platform
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many opportunities right now, especially when everyone is attached to their phone,
Oh my gosh,
attached
yeah.
to their computer, because most of us are still at home or we're
Mm-hmm.
spending more time home than we
Yeah.
normally would have, 2 years ago. Oh God, that feels like so
So
long.
long
Oh
ago.
my God.
I know.
Ooh, is this pandemic over?
I know. I was thinking too, just to sidestep real quick. I was like, when was the last trip? Because I'm a big traveler. I like to travel. And I was like, when was the last big trip I went on? And I was like, oh my, that was 3 years ago.
Yep.
3 years ago. And I typically try to do a couple a year, like
Yeah.
not super far, but just like go somewhere,
Right.
experience
Right.
something new. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, whoa.
It's been a while.
It's a lot. So, but
Yep.
yeah. And so with that, yeah, we are glued to technology right now.
Yep.
And I don't think that's going to change. I think we have forever changed. We have new habits. We have new conveniences that we are not willing to give up. We are
Heck yeah.
not giving them up. I'll tell you, I started using Instacart. I will not go back.
Yep.
I will
I'll
not go
tell
back.
you what, I can't tell you the last time I wore jeans sitting at home. When I come home, if I go out, sure, I'll wear some jeans. But if I'm at home, I'm not sitting on my couch anymore in my jeans.
Right?
Heck no. That is a convenience that is just,
Yep.
it's cut
So
out.
hey, this is your sign. If you're in the sweatpants business,
Yep.
um, now is your time.
Oh my
But it's
God. Yep.
true. It's true. Like we have so many conveniences now.
That is a silver lining that has come out of this whole pandemic, that even if your business was all in person, was all face to face, now you can have face to face, but also online. You
Yeah.
can do that online thing now.
Hmm.
So I will say that is a silver lining that has come
It
out, that it's
is.
like it's kind of forced businesses to reassess how they are doing business.
Yeah.
Is it the most efficient way, time wise, money wise? Is it the most efficient way? And now that people have gotten that taste of like, oh, we can just pop on a Zoom meeting instead of going to the office. And,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know if I want to give that up?
Right? It's so convenient. And you can get so much more done in such a short amount of time
Yep.
with having all those conveniences. I mean, and even going back to marketing, like you can do so much more in such a short amount of time
Yep.
to reach so many people. Because even if your business was more locally based, now, of course, this is depending on what you do,
Right.
but even if your business was more locally based, there really is nothing keeping you from expanding that maybe nationwide or worldwide. There are way more people online that are
Yep.
looking like, and it
You
doesn't
have
matter where you're
all the
located.
tools now. It's like,
Hmm.
what's holding you back? That's the real question, that it's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Why are you waiting? What are we doing?
Why are you waiting? That's a good one.
Why are you waiting?
Why are you waiting? Exactly. Jump on this train because it is
Yep.
moving. Yeah.
It's going. It's
It's
going.
going. Oh my gosh. Well, even for myself, um, I really started hitting a lot of the online marketing harder myself during,
Yeah.
lockdown and everything. Cause, I was doing the 9 to 5 thing. And I really started hitting marketing hard on my own stuff. And it was like within 3 months, I was like clients, clients, clients coming to me.
Yeah.
And that was all I got. Most of my clients through, I'm pretty much, no, I've gotten all my clients through digital marketing. There's a few that like I knew or knew
Yeah.
someone or that sort of thing. There's a few
Right.
there,
Right.
but the majority of my clients have come from digital marketing.
That's freaking amazing.
And
Like,
it's just me and I'm showing my face, I'm showing up, I'm talking to the people and
yep.
and I've actually had, people I've talked to when I've had consultation calls or whatever, that's what people tell me. They're like, I felt like you were speaking to me. And I'm like, I'm so glad you say that because
Yep.
that's what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm
That's
trying
the
to speak
goal.
directly to you.
That's
And
the
you
goal.
can't, yeah. And you can't do that if you're not showing yourself or your personality.
Yep.
And I mean, that's some proof right there. So
Yeah. I always say one of the nicest compliments I've ever received is when I meet a client or a friend or whoever that I met online in
Mm-hmm.
person for the first time, and they say, "You are just the same as you are on your Instagram." And I'm like,
Perfect.
God bless. Thank you. That is what you want.
Yes.
That's exactly what you want. I want you to know that you're
Mm-hmm.
getting the same Jenna on my stories in my reels as you're gonna get if we go out for coffee or something, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. And I'm so glad that you bring this up. So glad you bring this up because this is something I wanted to touch on was you say, okay, they say you're exactly like you are online when they meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're your personal brand, big company, whatever, you want that same reaction. So, right, people can find you in so many places, right? They could hear about you from a friend, they could Google you, they could find you on social media. So there's all these touch points, right? No matter where they see you first, second, third, whatever. Those touch points, everything should be consistent with your personality, your brand personality. So if I find you on social media and you're really sassy and snarky and fun, if I
Mm-hmm.
go to your website and it's not sassy and snarky and fun and it's real serious, I'm going to be confused. And I'm also going to be like, oh, this is not what I expected. So I'm probably
Yep.
not going to move forward with whatever it is, the purchase, the consultation, whatever. Same thing with if I find you online and I set up a, in-person appointment or whatever, and I come see you and it is way off. You want all those touch points, emails you send
Yep.
out, posts that you post, your website, your in-person interactions, everything
Yep.
need to align because the moment that falters, you immediately plant a seed of doubt within the consumer.
And this is a great example where like personal brand when it comes to my career as an actor, that it's like
Yes.
if my social media doesn't match my website, which doesn't match my resume, which doesn't match my reel, which doesn't match if I go into an audition in person, they're
Yeah.
going to be like, heck no. And there are a million actors in the world that they're going to be so quick to be like, next, that it's just
Yeah.
like, you have to have your ducks in a row, that it's like, we want that cohesion. We want it to all
Exactly.
match. We want it to at least like, it doesn't have to be the exact same,
Right.
but we want it to go. You know,
Right.
I was thinking of it like family portraits. You don't want to wear the exact
Oh,
same thing.
yes.
You want it to go. You want everyone to
Exactly.
match, go with each other,
Mhm. Exactly. Oh yeah. Yeah, those family portraits where everyone's like in white shirts and khakis. And I swear
Exactly.
we all of us have one of those
We
pictures.
all have one. We all have
We
one.
all
It's
have
all
one.
right. We forgive you. But, moving forward, we want it to go, not match
Yeah,
necessarily.
exactly. Exactly.
You
And
know?
I like when you bring up about especially being an actor and that doesn't match because if someone comes across the first place they ever see you is one of your reels, right? And they're like, "Oh my gosh, this girl has the perfect facial expressions, the perfect personality for this part. Let's get her in here." And then
Yeah.
they get you in there and like, maybe you were really fun and bubbly and all that, which you are, which I love in your reel. And then you go into the audition, you're like, "Hello, how do you do? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you." And you're like, really like proper. And they're like, "Wait, this is not the girl that we
This is
just
not her.
saw."
Like,
Like, what?
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So yeah, it all needs to match and align.
Yep.
Yeah. So what are some so we talked a lot about this and like what people need and what they should be doing, but like what are some like actionable tips that we can give people to try tomorrow?
I could talk for days and days about this. So I'll do like top three. Top
Okay.
three. All right. Number one, I think it all starts with your branding. Like, go back
Mhm.
to the basics and
Yeah.
be like, do specifically, do my colors represent the energy that I want to portray to clients?
Hmm.
Do they represent that? And
Right.
I'm talking like very specific. Do my colors. So that's the first thing. The
Hmm.
second thing is introducing yourself and explaining your why. As I said, if you
Yeah.
don't have a why bubble on your Instagram page or your bio doesn't explain what you do, that's
Even
something.
your website.
Exactly.
I've seen websites that
Oh,
don't even have the
yeah.
information and I'm like, "What do you do? I don't know."
What do you do? I
Yeah.
don't know. Exactly. Like,
Yes.
think of it like explaining to a child, like what would they understand? That it's like
Hmm.
simple, direct.
Super
That's what we
simple.
want.
Yes.
Okay, so that's number two. And then number three is embrace the trends. Lean in. If it matches your brand, lean in. Lean
Yes.
in. Try the dancing TikTok.
Yeah.
Try the tweet that's going viral, you know?
Hmm.
Just try it and see what happens. Those
Yes.
are my tips.
Awesome. Okay, so I have three as well, and they pretty much match up almost with yours. So that's good.
Oh, great
Yes.
minds.
Right. So yes, I have three tips. So my first one was yes, go back to your branding. So if you're really
Yep.
unsure about that, like if you can't say, hey, what's your brand? And you can't, what's your brand, what's your messaging, what's your voice, and you can't answer that like that,
Right
with a
away.
snap of a finger, then reevaluate. So go back and, like you said, go back to the basics. So what is your business's purpose, the value of your business?
Yep.
What are you trying to do for your clients or your customers? And then, yeah, what is your personality? How do you want that to come across? How do you want to communicate with them?
Right.
Um, and then my second one is showing up on camera. So whether that's you're a solo brand or a team, find some way to be showing up frequently because like we talked about earlier, that frequency bias,
Yep.
people are going to, become biased towards a business that or a personality that they like. So show up frequently. And then I have content ideas, even something as simple as, the customer journey. Just talk about, hey, what happens when someone calls or they sign up or, take them through that process,
Yeah.
because I
That's
think
great.
people want to see too, how will I be working with you? I like you, but how am I going to be working with
How?
you? So
How?
that's a big one too.
Yep. I
Yeah.
think that's great. And I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away from our talk today, it's the two C's, the consistency
Yes.
and oh wait, a C and an S. Oh my God. I promise I can spell. Oh my God, that's embarrassing.
I
Consistency
love
and
that.
sustainable. What is
Yes.
sustainable in your business? Like we're not asking you to create 24 pieces of content and post them all in 2 days. You have to
Right.
find what is sustainable for your business. And then
Mm-hmm.
that goes into the cohesion of it, where it's like we want it all to match. We want it to be
Yeah.
consistent, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there are your two C's too, consistency and cohesive.
There you go. Maybe
There
that's
you
my
go. You knew what you were saying.
wow.
I did. That's okay. I totally forgot what I was talking about earlier on the podcast. So totally fine. And it's funny. I do remember now that I bring that up.
Oh, perfect.
I do remember. And so one of the things I was going to say was if you are outsourcing, just a few things to maybe watch for. If you're outsourcing and someone says, yeah, we can guarantee that you're going to get this many followers and we can guarantee that you're going to see this much web traffic and we can guarantee, no, you just can't. You just
No,
can't.
you
You can
can't.
have, no, because you just don't know until you know, right? You have to do that
Exactly.
trial and error.
Yep.
So there's a little bit of time there.
Social media has an amazing way that it will tell you what works and what doesn't. It
Yes,
will it will let you know real quick, you
it
know?
will.
It will
Mm-hmm.
let you know real quick that it's like going back to what you said, like we can only promise that the work is going to be done. And
Yes.
like we can't promise you X number of followers or X number of views. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
can say there will be growth. I mean, we can
Oh,
say
yeah.
like if you
Mm-hmm.
implement what we are saying, there will be growth, but we
Definitely.
cannot guarantee these exact stats or
Right.
these exact analytics. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that
Guaranteed it.
goes into like vanity metrics, where it's like if I have a consultation with a client and they're like, I want to get that 10K, I want it. And I'm like, but why? Why do you want it? And they're like, well,
Yep.
so we have that authority. And I'm like,
It
maybe
doesn't.
let's backtrack a little and get to the root of why what do we actually want? Do we want a more engaged community? Oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I want. Okay, yes, that's what we can do. That we can
Yes.
aim to do. That's a real goal.
And I know because I know you brought this up one time and it was, um, looking at just the insights on just one post.
Hmm.
And, it didn't get a lot of followers. It didn't get a lot of likes. It didn't get a lot of that. But what it did get is it got a lot of website clicks. It got a lot of profile visits. That's
Yep.
what you want, because you could
Yep.
have 10,000 followers, 18,000 followers and not make a sale, but you could have 200 followers and start getting clients and making sales.
Yep.
So those numbers just don't
And
matter.
that too is like why you hire someone like us, where it's like,
Yep.
to the average person, like, oh, this only got X number of likes and it didn't get any comments. And then once you actually go into it and be like, oh, this had 5 website clicks and 17 profile visits, that
Yeah.
it's like, oh, wait, that content was actually really good. It served the
Exactly.
purpose to what
Exactly.
your goals were for social media, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And just like you said, consistency and all of that, the more you're in front of people, the more they're likely to start looking too at that stuff.
Yeah.
So, they might start to really like your personality. And then, and you have to be careful too, because there's, people that just watch, they don't interact, they don't like, they don't, do those things. They
Yeah.
don't comment. And so they might be watching and be like, wow, like I really like this person, or I really like this brand. And then they might just be going straight to your website and filling out a contact form. Right.
Yep.
But you don't know that from the metrics on the post, because they weren't interacting there. But
Exactly.
that's where they saw you, and that's where they were following you, and that's where they got to know you.
And that's the thing. It's like different type of content is going to serve different goals.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what the strategy is, that's where we can help. Where it's like, do you want more website traffic? Do you want more engaged followers? It's going to be a different type of content that we're creating for that.
Exactly. And that's why you need the pros to help you out. Because the thing is too, and I say that with all respect, because that's one big reason I started my business, is because I know as a small business owner, you started your small business to do what you love doing and to work with your clients and work with your customers. You don't want to be spending hours creating content for social media and updating your website. Like, you want to be doing what you love.
Yep.
So as I say, outsource the rest. Do what you love.
Exactly. We let us do the marketing, you do the fun stuff, you create products, you do that, and we'll push the boat along,
Exactly.
You get to be the captain and we'll just push the boat along.
Exactly.
All aboard.
Thank you so much for sharing all of your insights and stuff on this, because I knew you were the perfect person to talk about this with, because your personality is fantastic. You really show that through on your social media. And like you said, I've talked to you on camera and off, and it is the same person. So
Thank you.
Yes, it's fantastic. So I just really, really value your insight on all of this. So I'm glad you were here to share it. So yeah, thank you so much.
I mean, what better to learn personality tips from an actor? I mean, hello.
Right? Perfect. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Lindsay.
We will do this again, I'm sure.
Love it.
Many thanks to my special guest, Jenna Lee Miller, for sharing her insights and experiences to help your personality shine online. I hope you enjoyed listening and that you start to share more of your own personality or your brand's personality online to stand out and win over your audience. And once again, I'm Lindsay Berta, founder of Berta Marketing, a marketing agency designed specifically for small business owners, where I handle all of your marketing so you can focus on what you love. For more small business marketing tips, subscribe to this podcast or find me online at bertamarketing.com. Thanks for listening.